the day. The day is packed with interesting, wonderful information that we want to share with you. And with no further delay, I would like to introduce our Deputy Executive Director, Charlotte Petri Gornitzka, who is going to open the day.
So this is in this spirit. we are here today. Thank you all for coming. For me, it's the first time, and I actually think it's almost the first time we kind of do a thing like this. So huge welcome. So what are we trying to do here today? Obviously, we would like to share with you an important outcome of hard work last year, 2018, which wouldn't have been possible without you. So let's just think of that. Whatever you hear today, it is because of our common resources put into very important work that we have been able to do this. We want to share with you what's the most important results outcome from 2018, and obviously share with you the 5 very important priorities that is underpinning the strategic plan. And this is the first year of the implementation of the strategic plan. And you know so well that there are 5 objectives very linked to very important rights of the child. But it's also an emphasis on gender and an emphasis on the work we do in humanitarian settings. We're also moving into a situation where we want to showcase how we work collaboratively even better together. When we share this today with you, I hope that we will also be open to both what works and what's difficult. Because we have to realize, and when we look at the stock taking on the SDGs, I don't know if you have read already the UN report on where we are on the SDGs. But in short, as often before, we hear and we can read that some of the things that we have been working with for many years, like children under 5 survive and thrive, like decreasing poverty results and all of that. We are still on a good trajectory. Although poverty looks different than when we started, it's not necessarily a country more poor than before, but it's very much dividing into countries. In short, the SDG track, are we on track, is pointing towards, I would say, kind of an alarming outcome overall. We're not on track when it comes to children's issues in conflict situations, and we are starting to see that climate change is really affecting children. So there's very good reason to, if you want to, take stock, to celebrate and recognize that we do a lot of good work. But being UNICEF and all of you, we are very resourced. So maybe before we ask what others should do to really step up on the SDGs, we might start with ourselves and be a bit alarmed and think about how we could do even more. In that spirit, I hope that you will have an open and candid discussion today on how we can even improve. One of the things that I also want you to think of, and not only because I'm UNICEF, also because I used to head up the OECD DAC, where we struggled a lot to get donors to actually be good donors, and to have a rhetoric and action that was aligned. So if the rhetoric is, we know that long-term predictability is working, then how do you show that as a good donor? We have some examples, and I know I'm a little bit tough with you now because I'm very direct. Unearmarked money with a lot of mutual trust is making the trick. And we have Sweden, Norway, Luxembourg, and who did I forget, Carla? Germany, Netherlands. We also have some national committees who have brought in money from Korea and United Kingdom with predictability and long-term enablers in the way you have donated your money. And I hope that we will continue to discuss, if not today, but really continue to discuss, how do we enable from both sides this more qualitative way of being a partner? What do you need, Sweden, Norway, etc., from a UNICEF and a UN in this case, to trust us and to have the narrative you need with your domestic audiences so that we can spend time on what we want to achieve and avoid spending time on very specific, different reports? And I can share with you that there are some other work going on management cultures in the whole development sector, which starts to point to the voices from staff saying the increased results orientation and reporting is creating a lot of stress. I actually think that we need to start to talk about this. And it's not an excuse. It's not that UNICEF wants to shy away from being a fantastic partner in making your domestic situation possible. But I think it's also a chapter to be very open with and talk to each other. So, by that, I'm not going to go into what you're going to be able to see here and all the details. I just wanted to say very welcome. Thank you all for coming, and I hope that we will continue to improve the lives of the many children, for every child, together. Thank you.
Before we move to the next panel, we would like to show you a short video. Carla and Anders, we can now have the...
We stand. Good morning, everyone. This is a very inspiring video for a Monday morning, rainy morning. I'm Carla Haddad Mardini. I'm the new Director of Public Partnerships at UNICEF, started 18 months ago, actually. And I have the pleasure to introduce Mr. Anders Rönquist, and I hope I pronounced it well. He is the head of Sida, the Swedish International Development Agency. He's the head of the Multilateral Coordination Unit, and will be with us in this stand-up discussion around the importance of thematic funding, global pooled funds, quality funding, and how he sees it from a partner's perspective. Sweden has been leading by example on many fronts, and we want many other partners to follow suit. And as Charlotte Gornitzka has just mentioned, many are, but we need to do more. So we have 15 minutes together, and I need to speak less than you, so the audience benefits from your experience. I'll start by just saying that in this video, you see a lot of results achieved, but still today, we're faced with a healthy trajectory, as Charlotte said, in terms of funding, but pockets of chronic underfunding. And the three areas we see as chronically underfunded are health, child protection, and HIV/AIDS. So there are many other pockets of underfunding, but these are the ones where we're starting to worry. So we would like to discuss a little bit more with you. And I'll start by just saying that over the 4-year strategic plan, UNICEF has achieved quite a bit in the past year, but more needs to be done. From your perspective, what do you see in the value of thematic funding or global pooled funds? And what is your advice to the audience and to UNICEF on how we can do better together?
Thank you, Carla, and thank you, UNICEF, for welcoming us this morning. Very happy and proud to be here. I hope the mic works. I have a little bit of hearing. Yes, you can hear it? Okay. On Carla, on your question on why thematic support from a donor perspective, I would say that I can give you just 3 main reasons. First of all, it is legitimate. It is based on decisions that have been taken by UNICEF's executive board for its strategic plan. It is what UNICEF and its member states has decided to embark upon during this period of 4 years. And so it makes sense to support what UNICEF and its member wants. Secondly, because it's efficient. It's cost efficient, but it's also results efficient. Cost efficient because it reduces our transaction cost, but also the transaction cost for UNICEF. And then, from good donorship perspective, in terms of achieving results in a harmonized way, in a well-coordinated way, and it allows UNICEF to plan long-term for its strategic results areas, but also manage its capacities, its personnel, staff, and develop knowledge for results. So that's the second area. And then third, I think it makes strategic sense to support UNICEF at thematic level, both at the global level, but also at the regional and country level. And why do I say strategic? I mean that we are developing our partnership, we are strengthening our partnership, and we're taking it to the next level. And we actually are able to what we feel influence positively on the strategic programming at the aggregate level of UNICEF.
Great, thank you so much. On the point on the strategic approach to the partnerships across the board, I'll just add that every flexible dollar or euro or whatever currency we get is used many, many times over the life cycle of a strategic plan. So it does help us plan strategically and kickstart operations without waiting. We have different systems for doing that, but the value of this funding is critical. And I really like the way you put it. It does change the type of relationship we have with our partners. I wanted to ask you a little bit more about a new window, as we call it, or a new global thematic fund that we've put in place, and it's the one around safe and clean environment. So we have 10 thematic windows, global thematic windows, and that's the 10th. And we see there's a pickup of interest across the board because of the current situation around climate change and what we need to do. And I wanted to hear you about that. How are you connecting the dots with climate matters?
Yes, I think, well, I'm coming from Sweden and from Sida, the bilateral agency for development cooperation from Sweden. And I think it's no state secret that we have a few priorities as a country. I think gender has already been mentioned, but increasingly so also working on climate and environment. For us, seeing UNICEF developing these thematic pools and the thematic global support areas gives us a way to also address these, overarching cross-cutting key areas, which is challenges for all of us working in development, but also for the entire world and for the children around the world. I think when we see how the dots connect within the goal area 4, and where WASH comes into health services in education, but also where risk mitigation and risk resilience is integrated in programming and part of the WASH programs, then of course this becomes a platform for developing programs that allow children to have a safer and cleaner environment. So children's lives thrive or fail because of the environment. And I think if we can support UNICEF's work on integrating environment and climate into all its goal areas, we are very, very happy.
Thank you, Anders. I'm going to use the few remaining minutes to challenge you a little bit, to challenge us. We at UNICEF are trying to improve the way we do business with our partners by listening to your concerns and requests, challenging you when we can, but also we need to help you help us. And maybe a few words from your side as a partner and as a resource partner and a donor too. How would you like to see us evolving in the coming months and years in order to help you make the case for us? Increased support from Parliament, increased support for ODA, increased support for funding to achieve better results for children.
Well, I think, as I mentioned, the three main reasons: the strategic relevance, legitimacy, and effectiveness. I think that those are three super important points of departure that I think UNICEF should use even more widely in its communication. And I think together, the core fund donors and the thematic donors, together with UNICEF, we can really make the case. And we should make the case because it's actually getting more value for each donor dollar or donor krona that is being spent. We get more results out of each krona, and it also, I think, it shouldn't be that hard to communicate, because when I read your thematic reports or the thematic pull reports, I was really impressed. I read on the plane. The last one I read was on child protection, and it was extremely rich in results, both at the global, regional, and country level. Concrete examples of how UNICEF is changing the world into a better place and really making a difference in the context where you work. And of course, as a donor, you feel immensely proud to be able to take credit for all those results. And you know, I was almost overwhelmed by the richness of the results. The same goes for the other reports, but I think the child protection was extremely well presented, and I think we should, you know, as the strategic partners we are, the thematic funders together with UNICEF, we should discuss, you know, how do we go about in terms of communicating this to the world, because as when you are, you know, trying to get funding, whether it be from taxpayers or parliamentarians. It's always easy to get money if you say you are giving support to this particular country or this particular crisis, this particular context. But if you're saying you're giving support to everything that UNICEF does, so what is that? Exactly. So we have to be a little bit better in narrowing that down and sort of telling a story behind this type of support that donors could and should give more, because we see that it's stagnant now. It's been around 8% of the other resources for a long time, and I think the objective 2021 is to get up to 50%. So it's a long way to go, but I think we have enough evidence to show the world and show the other donors that this is the way to go.
I saw you made someone happy in the room. It's our director of programs who clapped for the child protection annual results report. I have to say, having gone through many of them with the team one by one, there's a wealth of information in them, really key examples of impact, and we've realized that we underuse them and that we need to repurpose and reuse all these examples through different channels, from social media to other communication channels, as you just eloquently mentioned, to make the case with parliaments across the board. And we know that the taxpayers are the ones who also legitimize ODA, so it's the same person supporting governments and supporting us in different ways. Thank you so much for having read it on the plane. We have many others for you to read. I would just want to pick up on a point you mentioned regarding how we can do better in terms of communication. And please, to the audience, to the partners, challenge us on what exactly we need. Because it's very easy, and as you said, it's very easy to communicate about these things in a compelling way. The problem and the issue we face is we end up producing very general material that are fit for anyone, but actually don't cater to the needs of your domestic audience and what exactly you want for your audience to make the case. And we can be more specific and targeted. We have the ability to have tailor-made documents to your audiences based on the wealth of information we're generating through the report. So we're ready to do more, but it's very hard to see the success rate of all that. And just to also reiterate, 15% increase of thematic funding over the coming 4 years is a difficult one. We're still planning to do it with your support, but it's not necessarily going to happen if we don't change the way we do certain things, because what got us here might not get us there. So we're very, very empowered with what you've said, and we'll do our best. I'm looking at the time. I think we need to move on, right, to the next session, and you will be with us and benefiting from the next session that will be with our Director of Programs, Mr. Ted Shaiban, who will be presenting Goal Area 1, Every Child Survives and Thrives. And I would like to mention that many are following us on YouTube live, so it's being live streamed, and we might have some questions pop up in the comments box as we continue. I wish you a great day and would like to invite Ted Shaiban to the stage. Thank you.